You're watching the News on 6, judged best newscast in Oklahoma by the Associated Press.
Oklahoma can't claim the Rockies or the Smokies. We're more like an ironing board, long and flat.
But every state has a high point, and it's in no man's land that Oklahoma traveler Scott Thompson and photojournalist Grant Gerondale find themselves looking down on the rest of us.
There are those who say the Oklahoma Panhandle is a monotonous place, long stretches of nothing. But just before the state hands itself off to New Mexico and Colorado, the flatness runs up against Mesa country. And up there, on the Black Mesa, is as high as things get in the Sooner State. Our hiking companion today is Richard Romero. He's the assistant director of state parks, and he's got a key, which I'll admit gets us 3 miles closer to our starting point. TV equipment can get awfully heavy. This beautiful, stark land is part of the 1,500-acre Black Mesa Nature Preserve.
Here we are. We're right here. And we're going to hike up this trail here. That's the top of the mesa right there. And then we'll hike across here and over there. And that's the High Point Monument. That's the border of New Mexico right there.
We're almost run out of Oklahoma here.
Yeah, I mean...
It's a half mile to the top.
It's this first 500 feet that's the hard part, so just pace ourselves on this.
Yeah. Along an old rutted cow path, but cows don't come this way anymore. Not since the Nature Conservancy bought the land and turned it over to the state to shelter bobcat and bear, 23 rare plants, 8 rare animals, and to protect the views we share with the past.
So you can imagine a convoy of wagons coming over the horizon and the history that you could have seen had you just stood up here.
Yeah, I often, look out there and think about, herds of dinosaurs roaming the area.
They would have been here 65 million years ago. The footprints they left behind tell us that. Looking at an ancient sea, perhaps, had they stood where we do now.
So you're above all the landforms now. You can begin to see the peaks and the...
Did we see Colorado from here?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, no, that's... Colorado, that big long mesa with the peak behind it, that's Colorado.
And New Mexico is...
And New Mexico's right over there.
We still have 1.5 miles to go before we reach the state's highest point. Our escort across the mesa turns out to be a herd of pronghorn antelope.
Oh, 13, 14. It's about 20. Yeah, all right. Good herd.
And they can maneuver these rocky cliffs and things.
Oh, yeah, they'll go right down over the edges. They're amazing. Well, good. Glad we got to see them.
And finally, up there, a sphere of marble pokes its head above the buffalo grass. It's here that Oklahoma stands its tallest, just about 4,973 feet. The marker placed in 1954 by the old Tulsa Tribune. Its sides serve as a compass point for places far and near.
West,
1,299 feet.
1,290, feet. Los Angeles is only 895 miles. This is everybody has to sign the logbook when they come up here.
In a brittle old stenographer's pad, the hikers who've come before leave a thought or two of the time they stood higher than anyone in Oklahoma. Here where there is no sound of humankind, no sight of civilization, inspiration comes easy, and no one leaves without a new sense of being alive.
Robert Carr, Amarillo. Look all directions and thank God for this country and what we have today and tomorrow and in the future. Great sunrise. I hope my wife has not given birth to our second child yet.
And for what it's worth, we leave a bit of ourselves here too.
Came to the top. So a great many other Oklahomans could too. Hate to go back to the city where there is noise and chaos.
To stand on the side of the mesa is to stand in awe of the Cimarron River Valley, of a landscape born of fire and ash. There, the extinct volcanoes of New Mexico. And there, Rabbit Ears, a guidepost on the Santa Fe Trail.
And this is volcanic rock.
This is the Black Mesa rock.
And that's the uniqueness of the mesa is this is the only one of the mesas that have this black top on it.
A lava flow that began in present-day Colorado, 35 miles away.
Volcano.
No, this was a lava flow, and that's what makes it different.
Just because I could, I stepped across the barbed wire and cedar post fence that marks the New Mexican border.
You ever been to New Mexico before?
I've never been to New Mexico except right now. Feels a lot like Oklahoma over here.
Does?
Oklahoma's prettier, though. I'm coming over.
Because back home, we were in a special place. No one stood taller this day. No one closer to the clouds and the moon. No one as appreciative, perhaps, to be alive,
North side of
to see the world spread out before us from atop Oklahoma. Scott Thompson, the Oklahoma Traveler.
And tomorrow night at 10, Scott drops in on Boise City more than 50 years after Army Air Corps bombs did the same thing. The Oklahoma Traveler in No Man's Land continues tomorrow at 10.
What a beautiful piece of landscape we just got to look at.